Anine Bojo, I'm Sherry Lawson, host of Indigenous Voices. We're still here. Today, my special guest is Danielle Big Canoe Snake. She works for the Chippewas of Rama First Nation in the library, but she has many more things than that. Welcome, Danielle.
Anine Bojo, so good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you face to face, and we're more than 6 feet apart.
That's right.
Can you please introduce yourself in whichever way you think is proper?
Anine Bojo, Danielle Big Canoe Snake, Indigenous, Rama Donjaba, Nagig Dodem. Hi, my name is Danielle Big Canoe Snake. I live in Rama First Nation with my husband, Johnny, my beautiful children, Paris and John. I am from Georgina Island First Nation, and I belong to the Otter Clan.
Okay, so Big Canoe is your maiden name, your father's name, your grandfather's name. Tell us how that name came about. Very unusual.
Oh boy, on the spot here, I'm trying to remember my stories. My dad tells many stories, and Sherry, you'll have to remind me because I'm.
Well, we can go back to the Lorenzo days.
Yes. Lorenzo, very educated man with different languages and such an amazing man, teacher, chief, looked after the boat, the transportation. In fact, when I first moved to Rama, I believe people were asking me if I knew Lorenzo. And of course, I was a little girl when he passed. So he's very, very popular and very well-educated man. And he knew 4 languages, Sherry. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm.
4 languages.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He also, when he was young, helped build canoes. I don't know if they were big ones, but most Aboriginal people's names came from the Indian agent because they couldn't pronounce our name. So that's okay. Tell us about what you've been up to in the last 25, 30 years, your education, your training, your jobs.
Okay, gee, there's been a lot. I'm kind of Danny of all trades. I actually started out doing law and security administration at Durham College because I liked the law. I was interested in, maybe possibly being a lawyer, working in, customs immigration, something along those lines. So I did finish that course. Just worked in a lab, like a crisp factory for a while. And then the opportunity came up in Rama. There was a position for police constable. So I applied for it and successfully I was one of the candidates. So I worked here as a police constable, went to Ontario Police College, worked here for a few years, and then it branched off from that. I went into the education field. So I finished my university at my degree in teaching at the University of Nipissing. And then I worked a little bit of different education. I worked at the school on maternity leaves, and then the opportunity to come and work in the library came up. So pretty exciting. Love teaching. So it allowed me to teach, but it was much more diverse. I was able to work with the wee little ones, ages 3, even younger, all the way up to grade 8, as well as high school students in college and university. So it's been really amazing.
Okay, thank you. Now, a lot of people think that having fresh water, clean air, and a free library are Canadian rights. What can you tell us about that living in a First Nation?
Oh, it's much different living in a First Nation. Unfortunately, there's much more pressing issues on a First Nations territory, like you said, clean water, affordable housing, food for people, accessibility issues. So we're very lucky here in Rama. However, some of my First Nation counterpart librarians have maybe a 10 by 10 room that they're able to have their library in. Libraries operate on a large scale. So limited funding dollars doesn't allow everyone to be able to have that opportunity. With under $15,000 funding, they're not able to operate. So yeah, there's much more pressing issues that don't allow everybody to have that opportunity.
So where does that $15,000 actually come from for all First Nations libraries in the province?
Yeah, it's the PLOG, the Public Library Operating Grant. First, we get First Nation supplemental salary, and that comes from the Ministry of Tourism, Culture, and Sport. So it's not a lot of money. We certainly don't get the same amount of money that municipal libraries do. So it's a small we have to operate. That's salary. That's purchasing books. That's the whole operation of the library, whether people have to pay for hydro light. So yeah, very small amount of money.
Okay, so you're not telling us that you're operating that place. You got $15,000 worth of books behind your head there.
That's right.
In Rama's case, especially, where does the rest of that funding come from?
Oh, we are very lucky. We have the support of the Chief and Council, the membership of Rama that support us and think that literacy is a very important part of our community and offering it to our membership. So we're very lucky we have that funding support behind us from Chief and Council. We've had other grants like the Ontario OTC. We've had small grants here and there from other places, but yeah, without the Chief and Council and the support of the membership, there's no way we'd be operating 54 hours a week with 2.5 staff. There's no way.
So are you telling us that some other First Nations, let's pick one of the islands or Red Lake, they either won't have a library or they're running the whole place for a whole year on $15,000?
You're correct. And they are superstars. First Nation public librarians are superstars. I've learned at different meetings and gatherings that I've had with them how strong and resilient they are, because they do operate on a small budget. They might be able to open up 20 hours, maybe, if they're lucky. The support from other First Nation libraries, like we do have OLS North and Souls, which has now amalgamated as of April 2021. So now we're combined. They're always trying to find monies and support for us as well. However, no, we are extremely lucky in Rama in comparison to other First Nation territories that maybe don't even have 2 shelves for library space.
You used some short forms there. What's a SOLS?
Okay, so SOLS is the Southern Ontario Library Service, and OLS North is Ontario Library Services North. So it caters to the Northern Ontario libraries, and the South, of course, caters to us and our area. Don't quote me, I could be wrong with numbers, but I believe there's 46 First Nation libraries. So that's small considering we have 133 territories. So yeah, we have a long way to go with getting our libraries up and running in some of these communities. I believe there's 28 in the north, and I believe there's 18 in the south.
So I know when I worked there, Danielle, we took a trip to Six Nations because we figured they were the biggest reserve in Canada. They must really be fancy and flashy and have a fabulous building. What did we find out there at the biggest reserve in Canada?
Well, they've certainly done a lot of amazing things, but no, they don't have the biggest, flashiest library in the world. They have a beautiful old home, 2-story home, I believe, that they've done really well with. But if I'm correct, they actually have a shipping container because they have so many books, but they have to have a shipping container at their parking lot because they don't have the space for all the books that they want to house. So yeah, kind of humble, but always trying to find funding dollars to expand.
So that shipping container, their public isn't allowed to go in and wander and pick out a book?
No, absolutely not. Probably be a liability.
Okay, so if somebody says, I want that such and such a book, the librarian goes out and unlocks the shipping container, gets them the book and brings it back into the building?
I don't know if they do that. I don't know if it's the stuff they have in storage and hopes that they someday will have the facility that they're able to put those books out. So no, I don't think people can access it.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's good for people to know, because I remember when City of Irelia built their big, giant, beautiful library, people said, what do you need a library for? They're not saying that. They're not saying that anymore.
No.
Okay. Tell us about some of the work you've done with some of the special groups in your community, the daycare, the school, other things that mainstream libraries probably aren't worried about.
Yeah, well, I'm really lucky. It's a fantastic job. I get to go and visit them and take programming to them. And with all my programming, because I do have a teaching background, I am a primary junior qualified teacher. So I have a little combination of curriculum and library skills, as well as my culture and tradition, which is very important for us to keep all of those balanced in harmony. So I'm able to go visit them with my little cart and take some programming to them. So I offer them the book. We read a book or a poem or something, whatever we decide is the library program. And then we do an activity, whether that's put something together, pull something from the book, Some pretty fantastic stuff. And kids, they certainly teach me every day. And then we do the same sort of programming with the school. I also work with the school. They come in often, like probably anywhere from 2 to 3 classes come in per day, prior to COVID, of course.
Okay, so you must be doing partially things on their curriculum in school, right? They're not just coming in to sign out a book. So give us some examples of those things.
Yeah, for sure. So like if they're working on plants and soil, I will pull off some books about plants and soil. We'll learn a little bit about what's fiction, what's nonfiction. I'll pull off a book from both shelves. We'll discuss that. They'll learn that. So I'm pulling in the library skills there, as well as adding some curriculum with what the teacher would teach them in the classroom. And we do activities. Activities range from songs. We can get up and dance. It's a little more different here. We like to sometimes raise the roof in the library here. Singing and dancing is all good. Drumming. So yeah, it's offering them that. It's offering them that type of things to engage them. My job, my passion, is to promote and support literacy. So if I can make it more fun and exciting to them, if I can take them on an adventure every time, that's what I'm going to do, because I want them to love the library. I want them to learn where they find those books on the shelves. It's really important.
Thank you. Now, I know you were doing work with the very youngest little children in the community, talking about what the library is and how you act when you're there and how you treat a book. Tell us about that.
Oh, yes, about when they come in and they learn the whole how to look after a book. In fact, I think we use Mr. Wiggles. So we use the book care thing. I actually have a little book hospital where I do show them a book that needs to be repaired. We do a whole hands-on experience with them so that they're able to see the book. They're able to recognize, like in Mr. Wiggles, for example, there's scribbles, there's tears, there's pages with corners folded over. They get to actually visually see that and know that it's not okay. They get to learn that, oh, Mrs. Snake, I have a ripped book here. Can I put it in the book hospital so we can repair it? So it's important to actually give them those types. For me, those experiences are really important because it teaches them that this is how we care for a book. And if we take it home, this is how we need to look after it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing is, in my years of working in libraries, there are different kinds of books for little kids and medium kids and older kids. Tell us about those things. There'll be a lot of parents at home who don't know that.
Yeah, that's true. So we have, of course, we're sitting in my in the children's section right now. So we have little books that are called board books. They're for our littlest guys, and they're great. Not that we want anyone to chew them, because that's one of the teaching things with book care rules. But those books are board books. They don't rip. They're able to, they're more versatile and stuff like that. We have picture books, which are fantastic, because at that age, you open up a book, you know what? They don't need to read the words yet. The picture tells a story. So wonderful to teach them that. We have the nonfiction and the fiction books. We have the young adult collection. So yeah, we have the great collection for them to choose from. Easy readers for those that are starting to learn and transition to the next level of reading. We have everything. We have lots for every age, for every level of reading.
Okay, tell us about any special collections that the Chippewas of Rama Library might be famous for.
Oh, yes. Our First Peoples collection absolutely is our pride. It keeps growing and growing. And I believe it's fantastic, because you taught me this. When I first started, it was kind of a collection that I was so proud of, but also a little afraid of, because, you pick up a book and you'd read certain things about savages and braves. And I'm like, what? So for me in the beginning, it was really difficult to, okay, Sherry, I don't really think this book belongs here. So it was a whole learning process for me. So we take pride in really choosing the books that belong in our collection that will benefit our community and our members, patrons. And it's really important. I really want to point this out. In training one time, I was having an issue with an Arthur Schilling book because it was 971.004. So don't you know, everything Indigenous belongs in history and geography. So I'm like, but it's art. It's about art. So the trainer said to me, Danielle, it's your library. You guys can label it how you want to. So we put it in the 700 collection, because in the 700 collection, that's arts and recreation. So that's the beauty of the First Nation library. We get to choose where we put our books in the library. So it's really important for us to identify them that way. So yes, we take pride in that collection and, look forward to people's suggestions and always look up new and exciting new publishers, new authors. Great.
Tell us about any relationships you might have with other libraries, First Nations or not.
Yes, absolutely. We have wonderful partnership with our fellow First Nation librarians. We can always connect with them. In fact, throughout COVID and prior, we do a tea and chat. So we check in with each other with programming, so on and so forth. But we also have a great agreement with Rama Public Library, reciprocal agreement. If they have our library card, they can go to Rama and just show them their card, and they can have access to the Rama Public Library as well. Don't want to toot my horn, but we're working on with the Irelia Public Library as well. We're hoping that's going to be very soon. It's just in final stages. So Irelia Public Library, whether it's in the reciprocal where we can go and have a library card, we've always had a friendship and a companionship. They've borrowed stuff from us to display from our cultural department and so on and so forth. Also the Georgian College Library, one of our Rama's own, Jenna Bickle, I believe she still works there. So we've always had a great agreement with them as well, and sharing.
And the university in town?
Yes, Georgian College, Lakehead University, it expands. I've also worked with Durham College with a few things, Queen's University. So it's expanding. So we have great relations with colleges and universities because often their students will come in inquiring about Indigenous information, things they're learning in school, and just that they're curious and want to know what our collection's about.
And Durham also has a library technician program, don't they?
They do, but I think with COVID, I'm not certain if everything's up and running. I know that it was a point of, but they did have a fantastic program there. So I'm hoping if it did go, it's coming back.
Yeah, because I remember at one time they brought the whole class over because we were kind of the closest First Nation library to see that was really operating as a library.
Yes, that's correct.
And those are mainstream people who are going through that training. So they needed to see the types of things that are in that building, not in one in the city.
Absolutely.
So you've talked a little bit about the state of Indigenous libraries in the province. Do you go to any conferences or training where you get to see what else is going on in all of Turtle Island?
Yes, absolutely. We do spring and fall gathering. I think they're also going to amalgamate that. And with COVID, things, of course, certainly are different. So a lot more stuff is virtual. Also, the Ontario Library Association Super Conference is a pretty exciting time. You introduced me to that when I first started working here, and I was overwhelmed but excited and such a nerd. I remember your advice to me was to take it slow, Dan. You don't have to go to everything. Well, I think the first year I probably went to everything as much as I possibly could. I was exhausted, but it was so worth it. You get to learn a lot of things from different libraries. There's an Indigenous stream as well. So that was really exciting. I actually got to be, introduce a speaker. I didn't know if I wanted to do it from our first try, but I was very excited about it and just blossomed from there. In fact, last actual OLA that we were able to attend, I was one of the speakers. I actually did a session with my Durham College colleague. So you learn so much, and it has the most massive expo. So anyone that loves books, authors, illustrators, you get to meet, greet, and see lots of stuff that you can bring back to your library. So very exciting.
Don't you also get some freebies at that expo?
Oh, you get tons of freebies. I also remember you telling me to bring my little cart. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I learned my lesson. Second year, I had the cart.
Yeah, there's so many freebies. You need a man and a boy to carry them. Yeah, that's for sure.
I got smart because my daughter is also a book nerd as well, as you know. My daughter, Priest. She joined as a student. Absolutely loved it. And I did warn her the same thing because when I first came and met her, she probably had about 10 bags. So she learned as well.
Okay, tell us about any special speakers or programs you might have had over the years.
Oh, there's been amazing speakers. We were very lucky. We have First Nations Public Library Week. And that was probably my first experience of putting something together and organizing and bringing storytellers in, people. So the beauty of that is storytellers from our own community is important to target. We have Mark Douglas, we have Sherry Lawson, we have, we have Lorraine McCrae, we've had Ted Williams, we've had John Snake, the late John Snake, in to do some cultural teachings and stuff like that, as well as we were lucky to have my father, Andrew Big Canoe from Georgina Island, who's a historian and knows his stuff, genealogy. He's the man you want to talk to. Brian Charles, who spoke about the wampum belt. Oh boy, Sherry, I can go on. We've had amazing programs. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was Guiwan that you brought in collaboration with one of the heritage groups. I'm sorry, I'm not 100% sure what the group was called.
Yeah, that's a few years ago now. Yeah,
we
brought in Aboriginal authors.
We did. Like what a lineup, like Tracy Lindbergh, David Bouchard, Joseph Boyd, and oh my goodness, was Drew here too? Drew Hayden Taylor. If he wasn't, he's been here a few times. Yeah. We've had some pretty fantastic names like Cherie Dimmeline. I think Chad Sullivan with his puppets, always a hit. We've had Chad a few times. So we've had some of these people more than once. So not only do we love having them here, they love being in Rama. They love the ambiance here. They always feel welcome. They love the community. So, something to be said about our people and how we welcome and how we appreciate those type of programs. So yeah, it's large. There's probably so many people I'm missing, Sherry, but we've been really lucky because that doesn't always happen. And when I talk to my other First Nation librarians, it doesn't always happen for them. We're lucky to be. Which I've been lucky to be a juror on probably for 6 years now. And you benefit from those authors or publishers or illustrators coming into the community. So sometimes they get a glimpse of it, but our glimpse is a lot larger because of the support we have here within our community, with our chief and council, with our membership, with our partnerships with Irelia Public Library and other departments within Rama.
Yes, and I know in the times I've been speaking to Aboriginal Indigenous authors, they're not really as accepted by the mainstream as what they always say, or even by their own publishers. A lot of them have published 3, 4, 5, 15 books and have used 15 different publishers. Can you tell us about any of those things, some of the issues that our First Nations colleagues have in getting a book out there?
Yeah, like exactly what you said it is. For some reason, if you were to ask me what my favorite book was or my favorite author, I couldn't even narrow it down to one. But yeah, I think I don't know exactly what it is, why they meet these, roadblocks. It's sad, honestly. It's getting better. I think it's getting better with stuff like First Nation Communities Read, you recognizing publishers, authors, and illustrators, the periodical marketers of Canada who create these awards. I think it's getting a little bit better, but yeah, I'm not 100% certain why there's such a roadblock, because there's so much more. Like, I think one year as a juror, there was over 54 books to choose from on the long list. So it's growing for sure. And the demand needs to be out there. So I don't know, you hate to say discrimination, but it exists. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to, but it exists. And it's really unfortunate because there's great talent out there.
So when you're talking about being a juror on that, tell us how the whole thing unfolds.
Oh, it's very exciting. Yeah. So the First Nation Public Libraries, the whole thing with the First Nation Communities Read is they ask for, I want to say 4 jurors from the north, 4 jurors from the south. Could be more, but of course, me being the book nerd that I am, I was definitely interested right off the hop. Let Nancy Cooper, I believe back then it was probably Peggy, Lawler. I can't remember her. Patty. But then Nancy Cooper has taken over that position. So right away I told her I was interested, and they know that I'm children's library programmer. So right away they gave me the children's jury, which was fantastic. And I absolutely love it because me, the more books we can offer these children, especially with Indigenous content, is fantastic. So and then it just blossomed from there. And they have to be from the south and the north. And yeah, we meet, and it's usually via telephone or conferences. So we meet, we discuss the books. We have to read all the titles. We meet, we decide, we narrowed it down to the top 5, duke it out, debate, and then we pick our thing. And then at the Young Dundas, we introduce the author and the winner.
Okay, well that must bring a lot of media as well attention to these authors.
Absolutely.
And it really doesn't cost much to do. You'd be getting the copies from their publishers, for instance. It's the time of the volunteers.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's a good lesson to everybody else out there who's thinking that nobody knows they exist. There is a way to do it.
There is a way. Absolutely.
All right. I want you to look to the future, Danielle. When you look down the road 5 years, 10 years in Indigenous libraries or Indigenous library workers, I mean, talk about the two different things. What do you see in that future?
Wow. Sky's the limit. Wow. I would definitely see more programming, more culture and language revitalization incorporated within the library, because that's really important. Having our language in here, having the storytellers in frequently. It's great to have programmers, but to actually have those people in teaching our kids, for instance, like Lorraine McCrae coming in for drumming, and we learn the language, that just reinforces everything, and then just making it that much more exciting and fun for our readers, our participants, is really important to make the engagement that much more exciting. More money, more funding. And I'm grateful for what we get. Like I said, I'm very thankful for our chief and council and the support of the membership, because we wouldn't have a library like this if it wasn't for those that funding dollars. There's no way we operate on $15,000. So,
okay.
and time, always need more time, more time to create all these things.
Danielle, I thank you so much for joining me in today's half hour. I think the public now knows more things about literacy, education, and especially public libraries in First Nations communities and the struggles they continue to have in 2021. Thank you so much for your time. Chimigwech.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here and an honor. Miigwech.